All right, today we have a 2010 Audi A4. We're doing rear pads and rotors on it. This does have an electronic parking brake, so we had to use a scanner to put it into service mode. Otherwise, you can take off the parking brake module from the caliper itself. This is just an easier way to do it, so let's get it done. The lug nut or lug stud size is going to be 17 millimeters. Let's get that off. All right, see there's a stud. First step after taking off the wheel is we're going to use a 14 millimeter socket on the back of the caliper. Take off these two bolts here, and we're going to hang the caliper up. Might need a wrench to get those off. We'll see what happens. You just want to get them finger loose. Looks like we might need a wrench on that one. Right. Use the big hammer to get that loose. Looks like at one point these calipers were purple. It's a cool color. Alright, and then we just spin those out, and then we're going to lift the caliper up. Alright, once we have the caliper off, we want to take a look at the brake pads. We're looking for even or uneven wear on these. They look pretty okay in terms of thickness. Do have a little uneven wear on the inside brake pad where the rotor ground into it. Looking at all of our pieces here, our slide pins seem to be nice and loose. We'll see about the caliper here on getting that pushed in, if it goes in smoothly or not. So we took our twist in caliper tool, which looks like this, and twisted the caliper back. It was kind of a pain in the butt. Caliper was stiff. Boot was twisted prior. It just didn't glide back in with the piston as we twisted it. That should be fine. What we're looking for is we're just trying to check and make sure that we don't have any brake fluid leaking out from the piston at all. Any sort of damage, anything like that, cracking, stuff falling apart. At one point I did take the parking brake motor off just to make sure that we were in parking brake mode, and making sure that that wasn't the reason it was so hard. We do not want to break these. These parking brake motors are very expensive. Next up, we're going to take off the caliper bracket so we can get our rotors taken off. To take the caliper bracket off, we're going to use an 18 millimeter socket with a 1/2 inch drive, something with a longer handle to give us a little bit of torque on it so we can get it loose. Remember, righty tighty, lefty loosey. Let's get it off. Move my light out of the way somewhere here. We weren't on that tight. Let's get it loose enough so that we can get it out by hand. Let's see if we can get this bottom off here with the wrench or ratchet. Alright, we're going to continue to work those out by hand. Alright, so we got our caliper bracket off. We're going to make sure that we take off the old hardware. We'll be putting new stuff on there. Hopefully it's all the right stuff. Looks like it should be. We'll take the old hardware off. We're going to clean it up with a brush. Just removing the old gunk in there, making sure that the new hardware and pads ride smoothly along the surface. Don't need to get super crazy with it, but if they're super caked up, spend some time on that. Once you get the spots where the clips are going to go on cleaned out, you're going to take a little bit of brake grease and just paint some on there. Essentially, this is going to keep rust from building up. One downside is it could gum up a little bit with dust and dirt from the roads. I haven't had any problems with it. We're going to take our new hardware, make sure that that fits. Well, it does not fit well. Not sure why that is. So we're going to clean up the old hardware. Alright, so what we did was we just put the old hardware back on there in this particular case, cleaned it up, put a little brake clean on it, and we're going to make it work in this particular case. I'll let the customer know. So we're going to go ahead with that. Next up, we're going to take the slide pins out. A lot of times you can just wiggle them out. I like to do one at a time. Wipe off the old grease and apply new grease. Now sometimes these can be different. You want to apply the grease to one and then put it back in just so you don't forget the location. Sometimes they're the same. Move it around, make sure that it's functional. Alright, looked like they were the same. We're just greasing these up so they move nice and easily so we don't have any binding or anything. If they're binding when you put them back in, like you need a new caliper bracket or you have to clean out the inside of the slide holes there. Last step for the grease, and then we're all complete on the caliper, is adding some more grease to the clips here where the pads are going to slide. Alright, caliper bracket is prepped, and we're going to put that aside. A lot of modern cars you're going to have a little set bolt in there, or a bolt of some sort. Try to clean it out a little bit. Make sure there's not gunk in there before you get T30 on there. Alright, with that brushed out, I'm going to put a little bit of torque behind it. Don't want to go too crazy, you might rip the head off. Just have this in its fastening mode here. I'm going to apply some pressure so we don't strip out the threads. And a couple little bursts to get it out. Nice. Alright. And in this case, the rotor is seized on. So we're going to have to use a little bit of persuasion to get that off. I have a 3-pound hammer here. If we were going to be saving the rotors, we'd want to use a mallet, rubber mallet of some sort. Don't hit the shielding here. Hit right behind the rotor. And that should loosen it up after a couple hits. Maybe more than a couple. I'll be back. Alright, banged away for a few minutes here. Gonna use some PB Blaster. In every crevice we can, see if we can loosen it up that way a little bit. And we'll continue with the hammer. After a few hammer hits and some PB Blaster, we were able to get the rotor off. Next up, we're going to clean the face of the hub here so that the new rotor goes on smoothly. We'll also put some anti-seize on there, so hopefully we avoid the hammering in the future. We're going to take our wire brush on our impact driver, clean up the surface. And that is pretty good. We're just looking for a smooth surface so the rotor isn't cockeyed in there when we set it on. Alright, we're going to take a layer of anti-seize and paint that on there so next time we don't have to hammer anything off. It's just a metal paste that goes on there to keep it from seizing. Try to avoid getting it in the stud holes there. Don't want those backing out. You should be okay. Alright, now we're going to take our new rotor. I did prep it. We're going to have to wipe it down again just because my hands are a little bit greasy here. I'm going to line it up with the securing bolt hole where that little hole is there. And we'll secure that in. This one's going to be hard to hand thread in there. I'm just going to take it nice and slow. So there we go. The rotor is secure. Next step is we're going to put the caliper bracket back on, and we'll torque that down to the appropriate torque when we get there. Right, we have two different bolt sizes. I remember that this was the taller of the two. I am going to put a little bit of thread locker on that, if I can remember where I put it. And you just kind of squeeze this off from the threads here. Don't want anything too crazy. We'll start threading in the bolt. Got a top bolt up here, bottom bolt down there. Just gonna get it snugged in. We'll use the torque wrench to make sure that that is the proper amount of tight. Had my first latte in a long time, so my hands are a little shaky today. Just snugging it in. Alright, with the caliper bracket properly torqued down, all of our parts greased up, we're going to grease our brake pads, get those in there, and keep moving along. Just want to apply a light amount of grease to the back of the pad and the ears of the pad. This is where the caliper or the pads are going to slide along. Don't get brake grease on the bottom of the pad as best you can. Get grease on the bottom, it can cause smoke, can cause you not to stop, crazy smell, so we're going to avoid that. Scraping the bottom of the barrel for the grease here. Alright, when putting the pads in, sometimes they're going to be directional. Usually it'll state on the front of the pad whether it's outer or an inner or what side it's supposed to go on. In this case, they are all the same. I verified them. There isn't any particular order. So we're just going to go ahead and slide those in. They should slide in pretty easily. Shouldn't have to force them in or hammer them at all. If they're not sliding in easily, you got to go back in with your brush, clear out the space, grind some of the gunk out. But those fit in there nicely. Next up, we're gonna affix the caliper. Fit the caliper over. If it doesn't fit over nice and easy, you gotta go back in and compress the caliper a little bit more. Hand threading those bolts so we don't get cross-threaded. We'll go back in. Typically, caliper slide pin bolts are gonna be about 20 to 30 foot-pounds of force to secure. You don't want to over torque those because it can cause the caliper not to slide as easily or properly. Also, you can break the heads off of the bolts. So let's get that torqued down. Alright, with that all fixed and torqued down, last thing we're going to do here is we're going to use a little bit of brake clean. Clean up the rotor so we don't have any extra dirt or grime on there. Making noise or smell as best we can there. Alright, we're going to do my little tap check. We torqued down the caliper bracket bolts, torqued down the slider pin bolts. We greased all of the clips, greased the pads. Everything is torqued down. We got our little rotor securing bolt there. We're going to remove our light out of there so we don't forget it. And last thing is we're going to put the wheel on. All right, with the wheels torqued, got both sides done. Did have a little issue on the driver's side with the electronic parking brake throwing a fault due to incident. So we got that tightened down as best as we can. We're going to take the car out of service mode, press on the brakes just to make sure the pressure is building, and we'll take it for a test drive. Just like that, another car sent on its way. Ended up filling up her tires for her. She was having the electrical parking brake issue. As always, feel free to reach out to me for any questions on a 2010 Audi A4. I'd be happy to help you out. My email is mitch@onlybrakesmn.com. Let me know if there's anything I can do for you. Have a great day.